there, creepy peeps. It is movie review time again. I just saw The Lazarus Effect. This is the first time I'm reviewing a movie like fresh off of seeing it. Like I literally just got home from the movie theater. So I'm like 30 minutes off of watching this movie, so I can foresee me having to edit a lot of my jumbled thoughts into coherent sentences for you guys. Anyways, I just saw The Lazarus Effect, starring Olivia Wilde and Mark Duplass. Is that how you say his name? Duplass? I'm going with Duplass. The Lazarus Effect is essentially a kind of Frankenstein-esque kind of movie, you know, advances in medical science and technology kind of going too far and advancing too quickly and bringing people back from the dead, which any horror film aficionado should know never to do that, because that never ends well. Anybody who dies should just stay dead. Don't try and bring them back, because nothing good ever comes from it, right? Okay, so Olivia Wilde and Mark Duplass play scientists Zoe and Frank, who with their kind of team in Donald Glover playing Nico and Evan Peters playing Clay, they are essentially trying to, at least how they explain it in the movie, is they're trying to kind of prolong that window of time that doctors and surgeons have to save a person's life. Their aim is not actually to bring anybody back from the dead. It kind of just happens that way, I guess. But as you can imagine, very much like Frankenstein, or what's that story we all had to read in like in English classes in high school, The Monkey's Paw. Kind of Frankenstein-esque, you know, you should never play God or mess with Mother Nature because bad things happen. And of course, as you would imagine, this is a horror movie, so bad things happen. So in the movie, they successfully bring a dead dog back to life. Successfully in the sense that the dog was dead and it is now alive. Because as you would imagine, as they're kind of observing the dog in the hours after they bring it back from the dead, they notice that things are not quite right with the dog. The dog doesn't have an appetite. He's just a little strange. And they notice that like his whole brain is in like the scans of the dog's brain is lighting up, which that's not really how our brains work. Sections light up when you do certain things. So they immediately, most of them immediately realize that something's probably not right. In a weird turn of events that doesn't really make any sense in the movie and doesn't really come up again, some company basically buys out the sponsors of the grant that gives the scientists money to perform their experiments. And they find out that Frank has technically violated their contract for the grant. So they take all of their work and then in kind of like a righteous stick it to the man moment, Frank, Zoe, and their team decide to recreate the experiment and film it so they can prove that this was their idea, this was their experiment. They were the first to successfully bring dead tissue back to life before this company whose name I can't remember kind of capitalizes on their efforts. Of course, as you probably remember from the trailer, Olivia Wilde is killed in an accident in this experiment, and in a brash, emotional effort to save her, they used the Lazarus serum on Olivia Wilde, aka Zoe, to disastrous results. She comes back, but it's not really her that's back. At least that's what I get from the movie. Like, you kind of get glimpses of her, but just in my opinion, what I got from the movie, I don't think that it was her that came back. It was something else. I will say that nearly every single one of the jump scares in this movie was in the trailer. I will say, in the director's defense, there were a lot of really good tension building moments. Like, they did really well to build tension, and they did fake you out a couple of times where they were setting you up for something and it didn't happen the way you would imagine it to, or, you know, if you've seen a lot of horror movies, it doesn't happen in the conventional way that it normally does. So I think that worked really well to their effect, and I really loved the like the makeup effects on Olivia Wilde when she's going all demonic and hellish and crazy. I do really like the work they do, like the veins around her eyes and stuff was really creepy. There was a lot of really like close up eye shots where her eyes were like, you know, like supernatural, like all black. There's like veins showing up around. Oh, it was really creepy and really well done. I really liked that. And that was like all they really had to do to Olivia Wilde. It was just like the eye around the eyes, and like her skin was a little pale, and she did the rest, which I will say I've never seen Olivia Wilde in a movie like this before, but I really enjoyed it. I feel like she did a really great job, and I wouldn't mind seeing her in roles like this again, for sure. I think the best tension building scene in the whole movie is when Olivia Wilde goes crazy, as you would imagine, and starts killing everybody. I really liked how they kind of flipped the script a little bit, and she kills all of the, like, her team first. Like, you've got like the team, Nico, Clay, Frank, and then you have this documentarian student, Ava, who is basically the audience. Like, she comes in to film the experiment as the movie opens. So she's basically where we are, square one. So Ava is actually the last one to die by Zoe's hand, which I thought was different because, you know, you would assume like Frank would be the last one to die because he was the one, when Zoe dies, he's the one to kind of like push everybody to help him bring her back to life, even though they're kind of against it. I like how they kind of upended that, and Ava is kind of like our final girl. She's the last one standing, even though she's not part of the experiment at all and was just there to observe. So basically, after everyone's dead and it's just Ava, so Ava is looking for Zoe. Scared, as you would imagine. All the lights in the lab are out, and she's walking with a flashlight. This sequence lasts a really long time, but it doesn't feel like a really long time. Her trying to find Zoe. I don't know. They set you up a few times, like as she's searching around the lab. They set you up so many times, like you're ready for like, okay, here it is. Something's happening. No, shit. Like, that's basically how I was during this scene. And it lasted a really long time, but it wasn't in a bad way. It was like little spikes in tension. Like, you're ready for something to happen, and then, oh shit, they faked you out. I think that worked really well, and I don't see that a lot where it's very long and drawn out, especially to the point where it works. For a few plot points that didn't, like, in the end, in the grand scheme of things, didn't really go. It didn't go with the movie. It didn't. At the end, Ava kind of, I guess she hallucinates or something, or it's something created by the demon that is Olivia Wilde. Ava is reliving Zoe's past with her, which we understand that Zoe went to hell when she died, basically, and relived the worst moment in her life over and over again, which is her as a little girl in her apartment building, which is on fire, and her neighbors are trapped in their house. So we keep getting this imagery of like burning apartment building in a hallway, and there's like hands reaching out underneath the doors trying to get out. So basically at the end, Ava is trying to reconcile with Zoe's inner child, I guess, telling her it's not her fault, even though we discover that Zoe set the fire, which that's all we learn is like Ava sees that are like their matches in little Zoe's hand. And so that didn't really add to it. I don't know. Like, they didn't expand on that. So I was like, so she was always evil or something? I don't get it. But she's trying to reconcile with Zoe's inner child, telling her, it's not your fault, you can open the door. So she opens the door to her neighbor's apartment, and there's like a blinding white light, and we're back seemingly in reality where Ava tranquilizes the shit out of Zoe, and firemen rush into the building, and Ava throws herself onto a fireman crying, pulls away. Turns out the fireman's actually Zoe, and Zoe kills Ava. So I guess what I understand is that was all a hallucination. But I guess that, and then I guess I, again, should explain the ending. Zoe kills Ava, and then we see all the bodies of all the characters lying around, and then we see Zoe injecting Frank with the Lazarus serum and bringing him back to life. And then that's how it ends. So I guess what I'm trying to explain with that huge long explanation is I don't know how like trying to reconcile with Zoe's character and the realization that Zoe somehow set the fire in her apartment all those years ago. I don't know how that was supposed to contribute to the story. I mean, I'm not sure if it not making sense was the point or if it was just sloppy filmmaking. I want to err on the side of sloppy filmmaking, but they did leave it at a cliffhanger, so there could be a sequel. So I don't know if we would get more explanation in a sequel. So if anyone out there has seen The Lazarus Effect and maybe you think you have a better handle on the ending, please give me some insight down below, because I'm just not sure how to feel about it. I really should not film a review right after I've seen a movie I've seen for the first time, because all my thoughts about it are so jumbled. I haven't been able to like sort through them. That's all I really have to say about The Lazarus Effect. Overall, I wasn't blown away by it, but it wasn't bad. And I feel like I say that about every single movie. But this was good. It was good, apart from the ending, which I'm still confused about. It's definitely worth going to see. It's its opening weekend this weekend. So if you've seen The Lazarus Effect, please let me know down below what you thought of the film. And I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay strange.